Well, hello, good evening, everybody. Welcome back. Jiu-Jitsu 2000 here today. I'm back. I hope you guys are doing fantastic out there. I've got an interesting video for you tonight. I'm a little bit tired. As you can see, I got the clipboard with me. We have some notes. I've had a lot of people asking me if I was going to do commentary for this season of Alone, season 9. And originally my thought was, no, I wasn't going to do it. I've been far too busy and I kind of lost interest a little bit. Not as a fan of the show, but after putting in to try to go on the show, believing that I have the skills to do very well out there, I just kind of stepped back for a second. But you guys have been asking me so much to do my commentaries. Here we are, back by popular demand. Now, I got to be honest with you, this season of Alone, I have not studied any of the participants. I don't know nothing about them. I don't even know who they are. I don't know what items they've taken, so I have not done my homework for this season. But the commentaries are still going to be very good. I'm going to be going based on what I see on the screen, and I'll be sharing my thoughts with you on what I'm seeing, based on what the editors let us see. Because there's a lot of footage that they film that never even makes it to the show. So we're going to get started. We're on episode 1 of season 9, Alone. They are in Labrador, Canada. Now, this quote comes on the screen. They open the show with a quote that says, "A journey of 1,000 miles must begin with a single step." That's by Lao Tzu. He is was a Chinese philosopher. He was a writer. And me as a martial artist, now I'm not sure about this 100% or not, but I'm pretty sure, pretty confident that he was very instrumental in helping with a book called The Art of War. This is a book and thoughts that would help an individual that is facing hardship. Now, don't quote me. I could be wrong on who authored that book, but I think this guy was affiliated in some way with that. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. And the reason I say that about the quote, that's important when they're out there and they're going to be going through such hard times. I mean, mental toughness is something that's very, very important if you're going to do anything successful out there, in my opinion. So we're starting off with day 1, 10 people, 61 degrees Fahrenheit outside. We're starting with Carrie Lee. I know nothing about her. They dropped her off with a helicopter, and her very first shot, you know, she's got the camera, and I guess the contestants, they do their insertion video where they give their very first thoughts, but she falls down. And she's like, "I'm good, I'm fine." She's an older woman. I think she's like 50, 60 years old. And she says in her thing that she's got over 50 years of experience teaching, like wilderness survival and stuff. So very, very cool. She lives in a yurt. And she decides that she's going to set up a tarp shelter. And that's really all it shows of her right now. Then we move forward about 10 o'clock or something like that. We see a new individual named Benji. This dude has over 30 years of traditional bow hunting experience. So very cool. And he also says, and I don't know if this is confidence or if this is cockiness, and I don't know if he's going to be able to fill these boots that he's setting himself up for or not. But he says that he wants to break the record, all records, and his goal is to do 102 days on the show. I don't know. I think my personal thoughts, and I'm not knocking any of the participants, but my personal thoughts are, it's like anything else. You know, when you get picked on in school by the bully, he's the one talking crap about how tough he can fight. And then you get in a fight and he's a pushover. He's an easy victory for you, you know. So I'm not saying that Benji's not going to fulfill this. He might do it. But to go out there on day one and say, I'm going to outlast everybody and do 102 days, and to me, that's taking a big bite on day one. Maybe I'm wrong about that. He's eating a bunch of berries and stuff, and then he gets a squirrel. Nice shot there. He gets a squirrel. And the next thing that he says, I think it's smart, but it raised a small bit of concern for me. And that was, he said that he's going to stay under a tarp shelter for like a month, for 30 days. So his priorities are water, food, and I forget what the third one that he said was, water, food, shelter, or something like that. Fire, I think, was one of them. But let's not forget that in season 3, I think it was, Fowler did something similar. He stayed under a tarp for a long time before he built that kick-ass shelter. So this could play into Benji's hands here. So then it starts raining, and he kind of gets caught with his pants down. He wasn't set up. He didn't have his shelter and all that because he's been out scoping the area. And then from what I understand, that area, they get over 60 inches of rain. So that's just crazy. 60 inches of rain? Wow, that's a lot of rain. So moving forward, about 1 o'clock, 1:30, we're on day one. Another woman, her name is Jessie. And she says it's kind of weird being behind the camera. She's not really used to it. But, I mean, you're on alone, so you're going to get used to it. That's the nature of the beast out there. She makes a walking stick. Very thick one. I don't know what the purpose was for that. Maybe she's got plans to put notches in it, or, you know, like Fowler did or something. I don't know. She's a survival instructor. She was an Air Force SEER instructor, so that's some pretty intense training. So very cool. And then later that night, she hears some noise, and it's a bear. And I've always said this, you know, all the activity of the animals, because you're jumping into their ecosystem, so they're going to be aware to something's changed in their world, so they're going to see these animals. So moving forward, day 2 now, it's like 10 o'clock in the morning. We're talking about Carrie Lee again, that woman, and she's been bitten up by those black flies. She's been just itching and getting bit up like crazy. So she decides that she's going to go scout for a good shelter location, which I thought was very smart. And she brings her bow to do this, and I thought that was cool. You know, she's prepared. She sees a grouse, she takes a shot, misses the grouse. But she stayed on that grouse like a heat-seeking missile. The grouse went down the hill, she followed it, tracked it, and she took a shot down the hill and nails this grouse. Very cool. So she got the grouse, and it was a downhill shot. Very, very good shot. And I noticed that she has a Dutch oven. I just wrote that down. Don't know why. I mean, Dutch oven's cool. So now we're moving forward. We're still on day 2. About 2:49 in the afternoon, and we meet Juan Pablo. He's walking around. The bush is real thick, so he's like branches and stuff, trying to find himself around. I like this guy. My first impression of him, this dude's pretty cool. He's got this negative mindset that he kind of explained, and that's, man, I'll tell you what, I think that's a good thing, because in some of the things in my life, I've failed my way to success. If you set your standards to something high and you don't meet that, it always downs your mental state. Well, he's setting it low. So anything that accomplishes above that is a positive mental state for him. I understand his strategy, and I think it's extremely smart going into a challenge like Alone. I think this dude's smart. He just did a 100-day expedition in the boreal forest. So this dude's got experience being out in remote locations under all kinds of weather conditions with wildlife involved. This dude's got experience. And he packed on over 60 pounds prior to going on the show. Something about drinking olive oil and a gallon of milk a day or something. This dude he's legit, man. This dude knows what he's doing. So then he sees a squirrel. And then we're moving forward. We're still talking about Juan Pablo, day 2 here. 4:30 in the afternoon, he hears an animal. And he sounds like it's a big animal, and he's trying to identify it. It might be a bear or something, we're not sure. And he finds a gold mine for a survivalist. He finds a trash pile full of like tin cans and old number 10 coffee cans and, cans and stuff. And the dude is smart. He takes those cans and cuts them and makes a stove with a chimney. Then, I was already impressed at that. And then he takes his gaiters, because there was some fire retardant material on the gaiters, and he strips this material off of the gaiters. He realizes that he's probably not going to actually use them, but he brought them anyway. So now he uses that material to sew into the tarp to make a flashing or a hood, I forget what they call it, to allow the stovepipe to go out of the shelter. And I'm like, wow, this dude, one man's trash is another's treasure. I'll tell you what, Juan Pablo has impressed me already. Then he steps it up another notch, and he takes and puts clay all around the stove. So now you're creating something that's going to retain the heat, thermal mass. This dude is smart, very smart. And to see this kind of stuff on day 2, that's impressive. So we're moving forward. We're on day 3 now. Almost 8 o'clock in the morning, and we meet Jac, I think, Jac or something. Hope I'm saying the name correctly, because if you're watching, my apologies if I'm butchering your name. But Jac, I guess I'll just call him Jac. He was a glacier guide. He did ice climbing and stuff like that. He worked on a bear unit, so he's familiar with bears and stuff like that. He's walking around, scoping out the area, and he finds bear scat. And then he keeps walking out. And this is what's interesting. When they first get there, they're learning their area, their territory that they're at. And he finds something that blows me away. He finds a foot trap. So it's got the 2 things that come out, and you got the little paw and the little thing that they step on, the dog or whatever they call it. So he's got a working trap. My question is, are they going to let him keep it? I hope so, because this could be interesting. If he sets that thing right, that could be ringing a dinner bell for him. So we're moving forward. We are now on day 4. A little after 7 o'clock in the morning, we're meeting Eigor. Looking for a good camp location. He chose a spot. This is funny. He ended up choosing a spot pretty much where he was dropped off at. But this is on day 4 after walking around for 4 days trying to find a location that's got access to water, access to cover, good hunting. I got to give the guy credit for scouting the area, but unfortunately when we're playing a game of calories, I don't know how that's going to go, but he did find a good area pretty close to where they dropped him off at. He found some seaweed over there, which is a food source. He hasn't had any protein or anything yet, and we're on day 4 now. I did notice that he has a large pot. And that raised the question because I know when I was applying for the show, you could only have a 2-quart pot. So it looks larger than that. I don't know. Maybe it's because of the camera and the GoPros. You know, they make everything look bigger, I guess, maybe. So we're moving back forward. We're 10:40 in the morning. We're talking about Jac again. His stomach was growling. He sees a squirrel. Takes a shot with the bow, nails the squirrel. I'm like, dang, that's a small target, and that just shows, you know, if you're hitting a squirrel, I would think that you'd have the potential to hit big game if you see that. So it's impressive that he got a squirrel. And then he sees a grouse, takes a shot, boom, gets a grouse. This dude gets a squirrel and a grouse. So I guess we all understand that Jac is eating good on day 4. There's my air compressor kicking on, so I'll just let that do its thing. So we're moving forward. It's 1:30, day 4. We're talking about Benji. And this guy, he's showing his body. He's showing his dad bod. And he says that he's doing this like a video journal. He's documenting his status of his body. I thought that was really smart because as things go, we're going to obviously lose weight, and he's documenting this, and he's very open about it, and he has packed on a pretty good little amount of fat on him, so that's smart. And then he decides that he's going to make a fishing pole, and I guess in the area where they're at, they can fly fish. So they provided 5 flies for every participant. So he's out there fishing away, and he catches a fish. It's about that big. I'm exaggerating. It's a small fish. But he keeps going. It's a brook trout, I think he said. He catches another one. Catches a third one. Catches a 4th, 5th, 6th, 7, 8, 9, 10. Tell me when to stop. 11, 12 fish he catches. 12 fish. Now they're all small, like 4, 5, maybe 6 inches. But he's got 12 of them. So he is going to eat a good meal. He's going to eat them all, which I thought was smart. He's not hoarding any food or nothing like that. He's putting it in his body, and I thought that was very smart. Eventually it might be good to dry some meat or something if he gets it, but I thought it was smart that he packed them calories down. So he's going to eat them all, and I noticed that he was frying them, and it looked like, I hope I'm seeing this correctly, but it looked like he was frying the fish on the lid of a Dutch oven, on the underside, you know, like you flip it over, and I think he was like using that for a frying pan, if I'm looking at that correctly. And another thing I noticed about him that was very smart was he took salt as one of his items. I thought that was really smart. So that's really it for this first episode. So folks, I want to say thank you for watching today. I will try to do as many of these videos as I can. I plan on keeping up with the series. My apology for this video being late. I've been extremely busy. And for those of you who don't know, I got this new thing on my channel where I'm dropping videos every Wednesday. Every Wednesday at 5 o'clock in the morning, videos are dropping. So I hope that helps keep you guys coming and going on these videos. And I will drop these alone videos and other videos in between those Wednesdays, but at the very minimum, you're going to see videos every Wednesday. So with all that being said, folks, thank you so much for watching. Please hit that thumbs up button on the way out. Share this with a friend. I could use the traction. I really appreciate you guys being here, and I hope you guys enjoy my commentary, We're just getting started on Alone Season 9. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.